television at the time this incident happened, and Walter, my brother, and I, and four more boys and girls was playing one afternoon as we thought like Indians would play. And for our bow and arrow, we went out in the field and just broke off some weeds and broke the roots off and the top of it out, and that was our arrow. And for the bow, we cut just a piece off of an inner tube rubber, round, and we would put this weed in the inner tube rubber and pull it and shoot it, and it would go quite a ways. Well, the boys was hid in shrubbery in the front of the house, and we girls was on the side, one side of the house, and the boys was in the shrubbery in front of the house, hid, and they would shoot at, jump out and shoot at us, and they'd tell us that they got us, but we'd have to let those arrows go. And so Walter came out around the house one time and jumped out there and shot one just straight up in the air. And he said, "Oh, Elby, look how high that one went." Well, I looked up, and just as I looked up, that weed came down and hit me right in the eye. There's my eyeball right there. So, of course, it was quite a commotion for a while, and we started to the hospital. We hadn't lived in Detroit very long, and Dad didn't know where the hospital was, and it was after dark by this time. And we went on, and he finally found the hospital, and of course they just put me in and removed the eye the next morning. And the doctor told my mother that in removing my eye, there was a nerve that he didn't have to bother, and that would give me movement of my artificial eye, and this side of this blind eye would cross over and go into my good eye. So I had almost as much eyesight with one eye as I'd had with the two. So then from that we moved to Oklahoma, and I started a school at Piney. It's a little country school. And I had to walk about 1.5 miles to meet the bus. And we carried water for the school, no water in the building. And anyway, we got, this was just what we rode to school in was just an old open cattle truck. And we came to a bridge or a creek, and there wasn't any bridge on it. So we just rode the old truck down to the bridge. Well, it didn't have power enough to climb a long hill that was ahead of us, and us kids all in the old truck. So we had to get out and walk up that long hill because the truck wouldn't pull us up. Well, I got on to Concord, the school department. I didn't like it, and I didn't like to go there. And so one day I just brought my books home and told Mom and Dad I wasn't going back. And I didn't. I didn't like such a bus ride. And so then that was in the fall, and the next year then they started the bus from Jay, and I got started then and went to Jay then and went through high school. But and our J bus picture that, was just a truck, but it had a bed built on it. And for the seats, there was a bench right up the middle of the bus, and one on each side, just the length of the bus. And we just had to crowd in there and sit any way we could. But we could get to J and back. And I think it was my junior year I got to having trouble because the lights we had wasn't light enough for me to do all the reading I had to do with the one eye. So I decided I'd just quit. And so I did, and I think This was my junior year. And the superintendent, JBR, got word that I had quit and the reason. So he wrote me a letter and told me if I'd come back and finish school, I could be exempt from this outside reading, get someone to read it and write a short story of the whole book, and then if I would write it, handed in my handwriting. So that helped me, and I got on through high school with that. I graduated in 1937, and I think there was about 30 in my class that was small, but that was a big class at that time. But I went on then and got married, and I had 3 boys and 2 girls. And while the boys were all small, and one winter day I was doing my laundry, and doing laundry at that time, you had a wash tub and a rub board, washboard, whatever. And I had this tub of real hot water sitting on a bench with the rub board in to do the laundry. The boys was playing marbles on the floor, and I was just washing away, and all at once it just felt like something hit me in the eye, of my artificial eye. And I sat there just thought a minute, and I thought, and it went to hurting real bad. I thought, well, I'll just remove my eye and see what's the matter. I couldn't move the eye, it wouldn't come out. It was just solid. Well, that scared me and was hurting. And my husband came in and took me to the doctor. And the eye was vacuum sealed that we found and he finally got a little got air in there and got that suction out. And then the eye just turned loose. But it bruised my eye all in and cut it in places. The artificial eye was real thin, and so that I had to be then without an eye for quite a while, because it took quite a long while for that to all heal up and me to get another eye. And to get this one then, while we lived out so far from a town or anywhere where they had them, and I ordered my artificial eyes from Denver, Colorado, and that's how I had my eyes from, and they just sent me a box with 10 eyes in it, and I would just look at them and try to my eye and pick out my eye myself. And then, last spring, I got needed another one. This one was discolored, and we went to Tulsa last spring and got me a new one, and they made it right there in the office. And Zola, of course, took me, and she was quite impressed. She got to watch them make my eye and fit it in. But it all went real good, and I've had good luck. That's the only incident I ever had with my eye that really gave me a problem. But it got all, and I went through school, and I do all the sewing I want to, and by the side of the blind eye going on into my good eye, but that helped me tremendously. But I lived 93 years, and I'm still happy and going.